Interstate 8 serpentines through the rugged peninsular mountain range in San Diego and Imperial counties. It's so quiet you can hear a fly buzzing. Standing still on the side of the road, cars cut through that silence. It's no wonder this section of I-8 is considered a hotspot for vehicle collisions with peninsular bighorn sheep.
And that's the thing about the bighorn sheep. They live right there. If they have to go back and forth, they're going to get hit.
Fraser Schilling is a researcher at UC Davis. He says that since 2012, more than 30 sheep have been killed here, and that's likely a big undercount. Nearly half of those roadkill incidents have happened where the east and westbound lanes isolate a critical habitat. Skylar Feltman explains why it's so deadly.
There's unique topography here where the I-8 actually splits in two and it creates this island, and the bighorn sheep, that island, they like to travel to there to rear and lamb, so they're crossing the freeway quite a bit, and they're being struck by vehicles at a high rate.
He's with the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's one of the agencies working to build a wildlife overpass to reduce animal deaths. But scientists and conservationists say there's now a greater urgency to complete projects like this. That's because the Trump administration is working to seal gaps in the border wall, and that is likely to impact how and where animals like the endangered bighorn sheep find food and water. Christina Aiello is a wildlife biologist with the Wildlands Network. She says the bighorn that live on the border are being cut off from resources in Mexico, like water.
And that is potentially going to cause them to move further north away from the wall, which then brings them in contact with this highway. Very dangerous, high roadkill rates of bighorn that live in this area.
Aiello says if they do roam toward the I-8,
that also puts them in competition with another U group that lives here already.
She's referring to the Incopa U group. Depending on the season, they move across the highway to access food, water, and have their lambs.
If you then force animals to live in a smaller and smaller area, that's less resources to allow them to produce young successfully. So that can affect their survival. It can affect how many young they're able to put out each year.
On a recent afternoon, Aiello and other conservationists look for bighorn sheep. There are none in sight this time.
I always say they kind of look like a garbanzo bean.
But fresh tracks and droppings are a reminder this is still their home.
In my mind, this is exciting because this is evidence that they were right here.
Right here, along a 5-mile stretch of the I-8 between Jacamba Hot Springs and Ocotillo, is where environmental agencies want to build an animal crossing. The Road Ecology Center at UC Davis is using state grant funding to design the wildlife overpass. They plan to have it ready by 2027. Fraser Schilling is the center's director. He says the project also involves adding fencing.
And the concept is that if you fence between crossing areas, that whether they go right or left, they'll eventually find a way across. And you hope that that's what happens.
Schilling says it's important to fence that entire section of the highway, where the east and westbound lanes split.
All around the island. And if we think about it, this is a nursery, this is a kindergarten, this is the birthing room at a hospital. That's what this is. We need to protect the whole thing.
Schilling says about 2 to 3 bighorn die every year from vehicles on the I-8. Statewide, he says, there's about twice that number. These figures are underreported because
an animal the size of a bighorn sheep, when it gets hit, only about 40% of the time will it stay visible on the side of the highway. And so part of the time it's going to get injured, part of the time it'll get knocked off the edge and is not visible.
He says the need for fencing and an overpass is becoming far more important with the growth in international trade and travel in that region. Caltrans data show traffic there increased from about 14,000 vehicles a day in 2018 to about 22,000 in 2023. Schilling says this has all become a weird battle between fences, the border wall, and the highway.
And then the irony is that to protect them, we have to fence the highway. And it's really a strange concept to me that we have to protect them from us, basically.
Schilling estimates building the wildlife crossing and fencing will require at least $30 million. Tammy Maurga, KPBS News.